Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. On the other side over there is Angel.
How's it going?
This is episode 91 on April 21st. So it is a fantastic Friday. The weekend's getting started, but it's going to be in the A Town this time instead of H Town. The Astros are on their first away series before they head into Tampa Bay, stopping in Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Braves and the 2021 World Series rematch. I really like this Braves team too. Being unbiased here, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit what's going on in Astros Roundup. And then, of course, we'll go a little bit going on around the league with another sticky situation. And instead of being the other New York team from the Bronx, it's the New York team from Queens. So it's going to be a lot to get into. But first, Angel, give me that one word to describe this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, seeing George Springer back at Minute Maid Park.
Like Future said, sensational. It was a great series. Like Astros bats came to life. Pitching was a lot better. Defensively a lot better. It was a great all around victory, series victory for the Astros.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the second game, if you put that away, I mean, credit to the Blue Jays hitters. If we'll talk about that in a minute, I mean, they took everything the other way and they had two home runs go the other way. I mean, everything went their way that second game. But other than that, the offense looked good. Like you said, pitching. We'll talk about Luis Garcia here in a minute. Hunter Brown didn't, not Hunter Brown, Christian Javier. Sorry about that. Did pretty damn good to himself. And then the offense. I mean, I hate how they start late. That's the only thing I cannot understand why they do that so much. If they could stop doing that, I wouldn't be so worried. Get it started at the beginning instead of the end. But hey, it is what it is. We
Are you
wanted
talking
the home,
about
you
like
know.
the late innings or like the late like throughout the season they start getting hot?
No, I'm talking about like the late innings and the offensively. Like they always get to like the mid part. I mean, there's been some games they've done good in the beginning,
Well, in the
but
first in the first game of the series, they put up 7 in the first inning.
I know, but like sometimes the
Yeah,
offense throughout the whole season right now, I mean, the offense wants to get ready in the middle or when it gets to the seventh or eighth or even to the ninth inning, the offense wants to start rolling
they
and
have to
it's
keep
already getting too late.
the fans on the edge of their seats.
Or just get the beer sales going too as well with
Yeah,
the
that's true.
concessions. But instead of doing some pros and cons, we're gonna do little bit something different. Of course, I mean a lot of people like hearing our pros and cons about this series, but hey, we're gonna do some shout outs. So for my first shout out is gonna be Brian Abreu. This
Huge.
guy came in a big situation, no outs, bases loaded. I mean, like you said, huge. I mean, I wouldn't even understand how to get out of that inning if you're a pitcher, at least giving up one run. And I mean, the list follows when Brian Abreu came in. It was the top of the lineup. George Springer lined out to Bregman. Did you see his reaction too? As soon as he
Yeah,
lined out, he
that was
just
frustration. He had a terrible series. Now he was putting the ball in play. Like there were some hard contact hits, like not hits, but balls off the barrel, and he just kept hitting into bad luck. I don't know that first game. You remember he hit a ball that was about 300 or something feet, then three higher than 390, and it was 400, just getting close to that center field wall. But they were all outs to Jake Myers. He was hitting to some bad luck.
dude, he was 0 for 11 this series in his last 5 games, 0 for
Oh
17.
yeah, that's frustration right there.
That is crazy. And of course, yeah, I mean, if you're putting the barrel to the ball and it's not finding the gaps or find the holes anywhere out there, even down the lines, you're gonna be frustrated like George. But anyway, first batter was him. He lined out to Bregman. Bo Bichette comes up, and Bo, I mean, one of the hottest. I mean, we talked about it last episode. Him, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Matt Chapman are the hottest hitters in that Blue Jays lineup. Strikes him out swinging, and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and him had a battle
Yeah.
with a 3-2 count for a good while that lasted for a good time. And I mean, Brian Abreu came up as the winner, and he flied out to Myers in center field, and that I mean that's so huge momentum right there for the Astros because after that, that's when the offense went in, and then
Oh yeah.
6 runs in that one inning. So
That really gives you a boost, like a boost after that big inning.
yeah, so we got to shout out to Brian Abreu. Of course, me
Ice.
speaking, yes, ice in the veins. For me speaking, Brian Abreu last year, we had our differences in the beginning of the season. You knew me; I wasn't a big Abreu.
Yeah.
Hey, you're
I
letting
I
him.
always told you to trust the
Right.
process.
I trust the process is right. I mean, you let him hang and you let him know. So that's what Brian Abreu did. And my second shout out is gonna go to Luis Garcia. That man, finally, we've been looking for this Luis Garcia since the WBC. Last three outings was just not him. I mean, he was just flat out horrible. We're not gonna just keep it like light. I mean, this guy was not doing good. 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 4 earned runs again. Wednesday was a different story for him. First seven batters in 2 innings, 6 strikeouts. I think it was a walk, which made that seven
Yeah.
better, but 6 strikeouts in 2 innings. I mean, phenomenal. Like you were saying, sensational as well. And then, his stat line throughout the game: 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, tying a career high in strikeouts as well, right there. Out of 92 pitches, out of 92, 51 was his cutter, and that cutter looked unstoppable
It
throughout
was
the whole game.
cutting.
Hitters were just looking confused in the box. They're just chasing out of the zone. And majority of his pitches were lower and outside part of the strike zone. It was just way out. Bo Bichette was a good example. Vlad Guerrero Jr. too had a strikeout off of it. I mean, the hitters just didn't look good in the box, and for that reason, it was because of that cutter, and it was sharp. So two shout outs right there were my two pitchers. I know you have a few shout outs you want to give out too as well.
Yes, but first, that's the fantasy pitcher I drafted in Luis Garcia. That's what I've been waiting for. But yeah, let's do some offensive shout outs. Shout out to Jose Abreu. In the
Yeah.
Texas series, he went 0 for 12 with 1 RBI and 3 strikeouts. Before this series took off, he was the first one you saw taking BP. Like he wanted to get better. That 0 for 12 put a really bad taste in his mouth, and he came out looking sharp. He had 2 multi-hit games in the Toronto series. He went 5 for 12 overall. That's a 417 batting average with 1 double and 4 RBIs. He came in huge in that third game to start the rally. He adjusted to that off-speed pitch and took it to center field and brought in two, and the rest is history. We added more runs from that. I think a much better series, and I feel more to come for Abreu as well.
Yeah, a lot of people are just not letting him kind of continue on. Like I was saying, we have 100 something games left in this season. The stats even show his monthly splits. We had posted a tweet out there that it gets better when it gets to the summertime and then when it gets to October. That's the most important time we're gonna need our hitters to do good. I mean, because let's face it, I mean, we're a good postseason team. And if the hitters are going to be hot in September and October, that's all that matters at the end, because that's the number one goal, is to get to the World Series. So, yes, just give him some time. He even made a good defensive play, too, at first. I
Yeah.
know he made an error a while back, but I mean, he's trying to improve every way he can. He even said in, I think, the postgame show with Julio Morales, he had even say, hey, they're champions. We're here for a reason. This is why I came here for a reason, is be specifically to be on a winning ball club, and he just wants to be a part of it. And right now, I mean, the 417 batting average after a rough series against Texas. I mean, being the first one out to be hitting on the field as well. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that do that. If they're in a slump, they're just not. You got some guys that won't go out there and do it like he does. So, shout out to Brian, not Brian Abreu, but the other Abreu, Jose Abreu.
No, yeah, and something I noticed, I feel like he's still kind of adjusting to that pitch clock. Last year he had one of the slowest times between pitches. Like he would take his time out there, and something I noticed is that when he gets to 2 strikes or like a big count of 2 strikes, he takes his time out, like to take his time, do his little
Mhm.
routine. So I think that's something big that's been contributing to his success. Like just we're like getting his nerves down and
Yeah.
going back to his routine. But I think Jake Myers heard our podcast, especially when I asked you who gets the modem. We're like, I feel like Jake. You said that Jake Myers is on the short end of the stick and Corey Jones on the
Mhm.
stick. Well, he was like, hold my beer, because before this series, Jake Myers had 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, and only 1 run. Like, and that's about 3 weeks of baseball right there.
Mhm.
Now in this series, he went 4 for 11, batting 367. He hit a huge 3-run home run in the first game. That was part of that 7-run first inning.
Mhm.
In the third game, he hit a 2-run double. That was good enough for the win, honestly, because the Astros only allowed 1 run. So the Astros held on for those two those 2 runs for a while until we saw, they exploded late in the innings, like you were saying. So he literally had his 5 RBIs, his first 5 RBIs this series, and he was hitting the ball good. He hit the ball hard. I think he even surpassed his career high. I think he had a ball that came off 107 miles per hour off the barrel, and that was his career high. So I mean, he
Wow.
didn't put the ball in play, and
Yeah,
that's something we want to see. Go ahead.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we want to see. That double was almost a home run too. I was just
Yeah,
wanting to mention that. I was just I think the Astros bullpen, they hit the fence. I don't know what you want to call it right there. Chain lane fix. I don't know. But I mean, most importantly, like you were saying, I mean, this is good. I mean, maybe he did hear our podcast because I was the first one to say it. I'm not going to be
yeah.
afraid to say it. He hasn't been doing good, and then this past game, I mean, he showed up. He showed out. That's what we need, especially with Chas McCormick on the IL now. It's going to be very important for him to step up quickly, and I mean, every
N-
way that he can.
Next man up, and I mean, he really. What really surprised me is that opposite field power. Like it kind of
Mhm.
like little, Chas like mini Chas McCormick, if you want to say, going that opposite field, and then one more quick shout out. Mauricio Dubon had the
Yes.
Astros hearts racing, including his, because in back-to-back games he extended his streak in the 8th inning in his last at bat. Like, and then the one in the second game, that was a bang bang play. I thought he
Yeah.
was
I
out.
think it was the last game for that
Was
one.
it? No. The last game, third game, he had a line shot to the outfield. It was the second
Oh,
game.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the second game when he um
That was the second base, right?
No, to Boba Shed. Boba Shed made a like really good play, but I think he
Oh,
hesitated a
okay. Yeah,
tad
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He
Mhm.
hesitated a
I know
tad
what you're
bit.
talking
I
about.
don't know if you saw when he got his glove. He like
Mhm.
he kind of like struggled a little bit trying to take the ball out, and that was the difference. Because I mean, it was a close play.
Game of inches.
Okay.
Baseball bags getting bigger too. So just think about it. If it was the shorter bags, he would have been
Oh
out.
yeah, you know what? You're right. And then Dubon even said that he kind of that was the fastest he ever ran. He was like, man, I'm about to blow my hamstring like trying to get this hit streak. But I'm glad it happened. Well, I'm glad the history got extended.
I know how that hamstring feels, and
Oh yeah,
thus,
that
yeah,
makes
we
two
don't
of
have to
us.
talk about
That
that.
makes two.
But yeah, shout out to him. 14 games. It's a career high too. I believe I saw
And then
somewhere.
it's in.
So
He has the high. He has the longest active hit streak right now in the major leagues as well.
yeah, I think Willie Taveras is the setter for the Astros
Yeah,
franchise. I think
30.
it's 30 something games. Yeah. So shout out to you, to the Duboniacs out there, and to Dubons. I see a lot of people like saying
Dubon. Yeah,
Dubons, like as in Barry Bonds, which makes sense because I mean Dubon came from San Francisco. I like both. I think that's a question we should ask him one day
for
if he
sure.
likes Duboniacs and Dubons. But those are shout outs from this series. Of course, like we said, we wanted to change it up a little. Shout out to our guys out there from the Astros. So next up, we're going to be talking about the preview versus the Atlanta Braves. They are 14-5. Last 10 games, they are a hot team right now.
Yeah.
8-2. They were riding an 8 game winning streak until the last game against the San Diego Padres. Speaking of Padres, too, we'll talk about that in a minute. Top of the NL East as well. They got a tomahawk too, dude. That's my trip of Atlanta last year. I mean, great atmosphere, great fans out there too. You know how the South rose. I loved being out there at Truist Park. I think it's one of the most prettiest parks to go to, especially in sunset. I mean, when the sun's going down, like a night game,
Yeah.
and then of course when they're changing pitchers from the other side. So like if Houston's changing a pitcher for the bullpen, the lights go off and everybody gets their flashlights and do the little tomahawk thing that they do. It's very cool. If anybody wants to go visit their ballpark this weekend, it is a must see, especially the Battery too, which I think Crane's going to be making an entertainment center here soon. So I think it's pretty cool that they'll be doing that. But other than that, getting off topic, y'all want to hear the preview? Friday, we got Hunter Brown starting it. He's 2-0 with a 193 ERA, and he'll be taking on Bryce Elder. He's 2-0 with a 153 ERA. So these guys
Wow,
are some
surprising.
young guns. These guys are some young guns. This is a 6:20 start time. This will be on Apple TV. So do not look if if you think it's going to be on AT&T Sportsnet, it is not. Make sure you have Apple TV. If you could get it
Subscribe.
for
Yeah,
free, yeah, subscribe. They have
it's
like a
not free anymore.
Oh, I thought they had like a monthly plan. Like it was like
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. They
first
have a
month
monthly.
free or something.
Oh,
The,
probably.
the Astros had did a tweet out there too. Um, if you subscribe or something like that, you get 2 months free of Apple TV just to see the game. So if you don't do that, make sure you do. Then you can watch the game because I mean it's the Atlanta Braves is going to be a rematch from the 2021 World Series. So let's get started with the Hunter Brown last outing versus Texas. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 0 of them earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He had back-to-back 7 inning outings. He is 2-0 with Yanier Diaz behind the plate. Do we see Yanier Diaz in this game on Friday night?
I think so, and for two reasons. One, they have a strong connection. I feel like Brown and Yanier Diaz, having played together in the minor leagues, like I feel like they know one another, like they know what the likes, dislikes,
Mhm.
and and a second reason to give Maldonado a little break. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of Maldonado lately, and a lot less of Yanier Diaz because I mean he was getting consistent at bats early in the season, and it's like now Caesar Salazar's been coming in to pitch hit for him, and we've been seeing a little bit more of Maldi lately. So it's just like where's Diaz, right?
Mhm.
But I think that contributes to him not being what the Astros I feel like wanted like him to become. Like they chose
Mhm.
him over Corey Lee because of that of his utilityness. I guess if we want to say like he can
Yeah.
play first, maybe some a few in the outfield, DH, catch, but his bat has really been keeping him off the lineup for sure.
No, I
But
think just another thing too, it just needs to be consistency. If they could
yeah,
give this guy enough at bats, like because I believe he had back to back games in the Pirate series and he was hitting the ball pretty hard. I mean, there was no lie about it. I mean, there was one that could have been a home run, and if you would have seen like on Twitter, Wooded Dong, there was some like ballparks that would have held his ball out of their ballpark. I think it's just for him, it's just being consistent.
I
If the
think so.
guy
Yeah.
gets enough at bats and consistent at bats, we could see him a little bit more in this lineup. But the other thing too, which Dusty's been going to Cesar Salazar a little bit more, is just the fact that's the only lefty we got on
Mhm.
our bench. We have no other lefties. You got Yainer Diaz. You have who else? I mean, Jake Myers, David Hensley, Corey Jokes. Them
All
are
right.
them are all righties. If we need a lefty to come in one of the situations, I mean that's the only guy we got. And that's why I was hoping the Astros would go sign Jerkson Profar because that's a lefty. You could put him in the bench just in case as well. So, it happens, but I think just for Yainer Diaz, I think it just needs to be a little bit more of the consistent at bats. If you don't give this guy enough at bats, I mean, how are you going to see him excel at the next level?
I agree. And then before we move on to Elder, something I've been a little trend is Martin Maldonado has a lot of pass balls. Like
Oh, yeah.
I
Hmm.
think he had one on a fastball this series. I forgot in what game, but he had a few in Pittsburgh. And I feel like every series now, it's been a common trend where he has at least one pass ball or even maybe two. Like, I wonder what's going on there, and if that would. I mean, I don't think that would affect him very much of him seeing decreased playing time, but that'll be very interesting to keep on like keeping up with throughout the season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't think it'll affect him. It could be, because of the pitch comp too. Sometimes the pitch comp doesn't work. They could be crossover each, from the pitcher and the catcher standpoint, but I don't think it'd be a huge problem. But let's get to Bryce Elder, and this guy is from Texas. He's a Texas boy. He even went to the University of
Amigo,
Texas Longhorns. And he is a rookie as well. Last outing at KC, he had 5 1/3, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Those 3 runs, surprisingly, are the only ones he has allowed through 3 starts. So this guy has been pretty solid for this Braves rotation. And just think about it, dude. I mean, yet last year they brought up Spencer Strider. He was lights out, and now they got another guy in Bryce Elder. I mean, shout out to Dana Brown too, if we're talking about more shout outs here,
the
because
Donna Brown
now,
effect.
yeah, he had the VP of scouting operations over there, and now we have him, and he's going to be heavily on the scouting for the scout team. So this guy gets a 4 pitch arsenal because we've never seen him. Like I said, he's a rookie. Sinker, slider, cutter, changeup.
Movement is what I noticed. Lots,
Yep.
lots of movement.
Yeah, the first two pitches I had said sinker and slider. That's going to be the most common ones he's thrown. Sinker's about 88 to 91 mile per hour range, while you have the slider around 82 to 83. But that is one of his best put away pitches, 32.4% uh put away, to Baseball Savant, that's going to be his pitch right there. If you're on an 0-2 count, and well, I've been saying this for a good while for Jeremy Pena because Jeremy Pena always goes after that slider. And if that is the put away pitch for him, you're going to see a high dosage of that being on the lower outside part of the corner. So just looking at the hitters right there, just got to be aware. But changeup also as well. That could be the second put away pitch. Not quietly because the slider has been the most heavenly. Changeup though, he had 4 strikeouts from the Kansas City game right there. All of his strikeouts right there were of his changeup. So we could see a mixed dosage of both those pitches in the 1-2, 3-2, 2-2 count, whatever 2 strike count that the batters have. We're gonna see both of them pitches, I'd say. Moving on to Saturday, we'll have Framber Valdez and Kyle Wright. Framber is 1-2 with a 1.80 ERA, while we have Kyle Wright yet to have win or lose in this season with a 6.23 ERA. This is a 5:30 start time. It'll be back on AT&T Sportsnet. Framber Valdez, the franchise. I mean, we already know what he's been dealing with. His last outing at Pittsburgh, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. That doesn't sound like it's Pittsburgh. That is a Texas Rangers series. My fault, everybody on that. But I mean, you remember that. I mean, he was dealing first couple innings, and then he got kind of sticky situation. And one, I think it was the 5th or 6th inning, and Hector Neris came in, bases loaded, left that splitter up. You know what happened there? Grand slam from Simeon. But I mean, the franchise has been doing good. Luckily, it wasn't earned because, of course, the defense was subpar right there. But if we're talking about the Braves, and this is PTSD for him because he has struggled against the Braves. Well, he didn't pitch against them in 2022 when they had gone to Truist Park last year. But in 2021, if you remember them games that he had started, he was horrific. Just flat out bad. He was 0-2, 4 innings pitched. This was a starter for both games. 4 innings pitched, 12 hits, 10 earned runs,
Wow.
3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He allowed 4 home runs, and none of them are with Atlanta no more. Was against Jorge Soler and Adam Duvall. Game 2 was a grand slam from Adam Duvall and a solo shot from Freddie Freeman. So the good news is he doesn't have to see them hitters
Yeah,
anymore,
that's what I was about to say.
especially especially Jorge Soler. But this is a new Framber. This is a new Framber now after that 2021 World Series. Obviously, you heard it's no secret. He went out to go see a psychologist, cleared his mind. He went back to the Dominican Republic. He built a church that he grew up with and everything like that. It was a fantastic story. If you haven't seen that story by MLB Network, he's a very different guy now. He is a ground ball king, for instance. 2810 RPMs. If you don't know what RPMs mean, it's revolutions per minute with his curveball. Like I said, ground ball king. He leads the American League with 35 ground balls. He is tied with Nick Martinez for the Major League. Nick Martinez plays with the San Diego Padres with 35 himself. So I think we're going to see a lot of dosage of the curveball. If it ain't broke, don't fix. Just keep it going like that. With this Braves lineup now, you're going to have Ronald Acuna Jr. back. He wasn't there for that 2021 World Series run. Ozzy Albies is probably the same guy that, yeah, I think the same. Him and Travis d'Arnaud. I think them are the only 2 guys. Oh, Eddie Rosario as well. Sorry about that. Them 3 guys are probably from that Braves lineup from that last year because Dansby Swanson's gone, Jorge Soler's gone, Adam Duvall's gone. Am I missing somebody else? Freddie Freeman's
Cunha was
gone.
hurt.
Acuna was hurt, like I said before. So I think Framber's just gonna, be different. I feel like he's just gonna be a different pitcher when it comes to being on that mound for the first time since the 2021 World Series. What do you think his mentality is gonna be in?
I feel it's just keep doing what he's doing, like working with that curveball, making hitters expect and come with the fastball when he deems necessary. But we're gonna see a lot of dosage of curveballs and fastballs. But I'm calling it now. I know we're doing our offensive and pitching MVPs later on in the segment, but I'm gonna say it now. Valdez is my pitching MVP. He's gonna have that revenge game. He's gonna be hitting all his spots, working. He won't be working deep into counts. He's gonna be on his A game, and we'll see an Astros victory that game.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a different Framber Valdez. He wants to introduce himself to this Atlanta Braves team as well. I mean, that's a new team. You got Von Grisham. Michael Harris ain't going to be playing. He's still on the IEL. You have Ronald Acuna coming back. Matt Olson, we've seen Matt Olson with his times with the A. Same thing as Sean Murphy as well. Austin Riley's another one that he did pretty good, though, against Austin Riley. But at the same time, too, that guy's a dangerous hitter when he's at the
Yeah.
plate. But Kyle Wright is the guy he's going against on the other side. Last outing against Kansas City, he was 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. His last outing in Houston, it was against the Astros last year. He got the W, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. You know who had success against him last year?
Cool.
Kyle Tucker. Kyle
Okay.
Tucker got 2 hits off of him, including a home run. He was 2 for 3 against him as well. So, but the thing with Kyle Wright, he gives up a lot of walks. 4 earned runs, not 4 earned runs, 4 walks his first outing, and then 3 walks his second outing as well. I think the Astros just got to be patient when he comes up to the when Wright's pitching and whenever they come up to the plate. This team has a good play discipline eye. Bregman being one of them. Alvarez even has a good eye at the plate as well. Tucker, you could say, and Jose Abreu. So just got to be patient at the plate whenever you see him. He relies on 5 pitches. You got the curve, you got the sink, you got the change, the four seamer, and a slider. Sliders, he only throws it once out of the whole time he's been pitching this season. But the curveball, 51.2%. Sinkers, about 27.1%. Them are the first 2 pitches that he's going to throw. So, hot, it's not a fastball. His first pitch is a freaking off speed. So,
Yeah.
sit back, drive it the other way,
Kind of
sit
like
back, hanger, take it, just take it out of the ballpark.
kind of like Framber, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so 2 curveball guys. We'll probably see a lot of ground balls in this game for both sides. Astros didn't, they do hit a lot into double plays. I think 2 years ago, even last year themselves. Just got to see what happens. Might be a low scoring game as well. But then, I wanted to say this too. He has that curveball, and it's been his bread and butter since 2022. His 9 strikeouts this year, 8 of them have been on the curveball. So, like I said, sit back, take it the other way, hanger, bang it. That's the only thing I could say about this game against Kyle Wright. And then Sunday we got Christian Javier versus Max Fried. We all know about Max Fried. He was the guy that clinched the World Series for the Braves. He was just unbelievable in that Game 6 in 2021. Christian Javier, 2-0, 3.68 ERA. Max Fried, 1-0, 1.08 ERA. This is a 12 p.m. start time, Central Time in Houston. And Javier, his last outing against Texas, looked great. That was I believe that was my pitching MVP from the last time we had talked. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Just like Framber Valdez, he has struggled with the Braves himself. He was in the bullpen at the time. He wasn't a starter. He was in the bullpen. Of course, 2022 himself, he was in the bullpen. But 2 games that he came in, 1 2/3 and he pitched, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He allowed 3 long balls, 2 of them from Dansby Swanson, and then 1 of them from Jorge Soler. I'm
Yeah,
so glad we are
that's
not
a
seeing
go.
Jorge
Yeah,
Soler. I'm so glad we're not seeing him. Same thing as Dansby Swanson. He's doing really good, I think, with the Chicago Cubs out there in Chicago. But I wanted to, read this real quick. His fastball, it hasn't been the same. It just hasn't been the same from
slower.
last year. Yeah. Opponent's batting average this year against the fastball is 293, while last year was 183. Slugging percentage 500, 326 last year. What else? Spin rate 23.54, 23.54 RPMs was last year's. This year is 22.73 RPMs. That is a very huge, significant difference. The whiff rate, if we're talking about significant difference, 27.3 last year on the whiff of the four seamer. This year is a 20.9%. Put away
Okay.
as well, 12. Put away is 20.2. This year is 14.1. So that fastball isn't the same, or the hitters are just getting a better eye at it compared to last year. They're looking at the scouting report on him and kind of improved their approach when they're going up to the play against Javier.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of both. Like I don't think his fastball. I think he was touching like around 96, 97
Hmm.
last year. Now we were seeing it more like at a 93, 94, 95. So it's a tad bit slower, and that makes a huge difference. Like again, at the plate, you have about 0.4 seconds to make your decision, and when it's a tad bit slower, that bag gets more out in front. You're more on time, so that's a big difference. And then like you said, I feel like hitters are adjusting. I feel like they're sitting fastball. You know, they know that Christian Javier is there to attack you. He wants to throw strikes, so they're just teeing
Mhm.
off on that.
Yeah, we talked about it too. We've mentioned it a bunch of times with his strikeout rate. The strikeouts have not been, 7 plus, 8 plus, 9 plus that it was last year. Now it's like 3, 5. He had 5 again. So, I mean, it could be a little bit of both. I've read the stat right there with the RPMs on his fastball. It's not, the same, like you were saying too, with his speed. 97, we could reach it to 98, 99 last year. Now it's about 93, 94, 95. I don't know if the WBC could have been a huge mark on it because he did pitch in the WBC,
And he
which
looked good there
I don't,
too.
yeah, and I don't think it was a big shot on him, but you just never know at this point. We talked about it. Hitters could be adjusting at this rising fastball he has. But you know who doesn't have a rising fastball? That is Max Fried. This guy's a curveball kind of guy. Last outing against San Diego, he was good. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Like I was saying, he did good. He clinched on that Game 6 World Series winner in Minute Maid Park. That last outing was his last time he faced the Astros. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. If you listen to what I just said right now, between both them outings, he has yet to allow a walk in 2 starts. He did have a hamstring injury, and the San Diego game was the first game coming back. He has not allowed a walk. And if you saw that stat that I just said in Game 6 of the World Series, he didn't allow no walks. He has a low walk rate, period. So you got to be aggressive at the plate with this guy. He generates a lot of weak contact as well, and he has a high chase rate on batters. So we've seen the 12-6 curveball he has as well as the changeup, as the fastball, but you just got to be on your toes with him. He's not going to just give you a free pass if you're in a 3-2 count. Don't be thinking about taking on a close pitch because with these Blues, there. I mean, I don't know which game was it against the Toronto Blue Jays. He was just outside of the zone. I mean, it was just bad. It,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
just horrific.
yeah.
I
The
can't remember.
Astros.
Yeah, so they just got to be on their toes. They got to be ready. But I think it's going to be a good series. Good pitching matchups right there. Max Fried, Christian Javier, the young guns and Bryce Elder and Hunter Brown. I think it's going to be a great. And I think too. This is what I predicted. I think this is going to be a World Series matchup for 2023. If I'm being unbiased here, it's going to be them. I really wanted to see
Wow.
this last year,
Okay.
but I think it could be a possibility for this year coming up in 23.
Yeah, I feel like the Braves are one of the teams that match up like throughout, like with the Astros. Like they both have pitching, they both have hitting. Their bullpen's nice. Like this is on around team just like the Astros, and this team hits a lot of home runs. Like you said, they have Matt
Mm-hmm.
Olson, Riley, Acuna, even always contributes here and there. But one of their hottest hitters right now is Ronald Acuna. No surprise there.
No.
He has a potential. I think you were the piece that he has a potential to be a 40-40 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there. Like he's an all around player right now. Again, he's doing his thing. 300, 365 batting average, 451 on base percentage, 554 slugging, and then combine that 997 on base percentage plus OPS. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty good. He
Yeah.
has 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 8 stolen bases. Like again, how we're saying that he could be potential for that 40-40 guy. Like um, he has already 8 stolen bases in this young season, which can, and with the bigger bases, pitch clock, I'm sure that'll add up.
Let me add real quick
Go
right
ahead.
here. That first game, if Yanier Diaz is behind the plate, there's going to be a lot of guys running on him. I'm calling it right now
Okay.
because that's what happened in Pittsburgh. I think the Twin Series as well. We're going to see a lot of, I think Acuna is going to run. You're going to see Von Grisham probably run. You'll probably see Ozzy Albies run. I mean, Diaz is going to have to get ready to show that arm out
Oh
because,
yeah, we
I
need
mean, he's a
to
young guy.
we need to see more of that Pena like last night, like on Wednesday's game where he kind of made
Yeah.
I forgot who.
Blocking with the foot, block the
Yeah,
foot
it
against the
was with
bag.
Merrifield, right? He was running,
Yeah.
and like I honestly don't see. I I feel that's hard to call it out. Like even real time, like I feel like he's just kind of like assumed that it came off, like the mid came off, because
Yeah,
even on replay, like
it didn't
maybe
look like it.
it didn't look like it. Like I think that mid stays on the base, but I mean it's kind of hard to
Mhm.
overturn because it was ruled out. But we need a little bit more Pena's foot action on there. But going back to Acuna in his last 7 games, he's 12 for 29, which is a 415 average, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and 3 stolen bases, just how you were saying. So that potential for stolen bases is there, not just by him, but like you said, the rest of that ball club. He is second in RBI, stolen bases, and hits. So that's that's pretty darn good.
He could potentially probably lead in that stolen bases this
Yeah,
series.
I think so. I mean, he has a chance, and then they're playing at home against their home ball in their home field with their home fans. So it'll be a really good, interesting series, like you said, maybe a World Series matchup. Because again, they they're up there with the Astros for sure. And then
Yeah,
I think they've only lost like what 5 games this season, so
yeah.
they're up there. Like they're really good. They're really hot right
And
now.
they're gonna be bringing this a lot, dude. And
Oh
the
yeah.
little chop they used to do when they used to celebrate on second base. My God, couldn't stand that.
Yeah, but we'll see. It's a good series. I'm excited for it. But we played well against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays were hot coming in, and
Mhm.
so I feel like we have a really good chance. Like I feel like there's never.
I think they do good too against better ball clubs.
Yeah, like you kind of caught that last time. You said like we kind of played down with the competition, but when it's a better team, we really step up, and I feel like this is one of those series where we have potential to step up.
Yeah.
But speaking of, Astros doing big, it's time for our offensive pitching MVP and hot take. So I was 3 for 3, I would say. I had Pena,
Let's say,
I
oh,
had
Astros win
Pena,
the series.
Garcia, and Astros win the series. Garcia
Come on,
is the
I need a better hot take than that. I need a harder one.
well. The
Give me
reason
something
why
hard.
I said it is because the Astros had only won one series throughout the en- throughout the well, like in the
Bro,
early on in
yeah,
the season.
that's
So
true. That's
that
true.
is why I picked that hot take.
And it was a tough team. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so
I'll let it slide.
That's my reason.
I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide. But I didn't do bad myself. I think you consider Dubon. I think he's an offensive
Extending his
MVP.
hitting
He's
streak.
getting
Yeah,
the
okay.
hit streak. Javier did pretty damn good himself. Like always, I had to bounce back on my pitching MVPs. I'm not gonna pick Presley never again.
That was a one and done.
Speaking of Presley, he didn't make an appearance since last
I
week. If
know.
you didn't hear on the
Yeah.
broadcast, it was so crazy. I couldn't believe that. But I mean, the Astros have him. I mean, they've either been winning big or losing big. So it wouldn't make sense to bring out your closer. And then George Springer, 0 for 11. I wish he would have hit a home run.
You
I
really
think
dropped the ball on that one.
yeah. I think I would. I think
I
it
feel
would have
like it
been
was a little
cool. It
jinx.
would have been cool.
Nah, like you
It would
kind
have
of
been
jinx.
cool.
Like it was a good jinx.
All right, shout out. Okay, shout out to me out there. I get the shout out too on this segment as well. But go ahead, get it. It's a new series. The weekend, Friday night, beers flowing. Hot dog eating, everything like that. Let's go. Give it to me.
offensive MVP is gonna be Jose Abreu again. We saw he has that dog in him, like being the first one MVP, first one
Mhm.
to hit games. Like we'll see, we'll see more of Jose Abreu. That Cuban connection is gonna come in huge and clutch in this series. My pitching MVP, you already know, Framber Valdez. I told you
Oh
it's
yeah.
his revenge game. I feel like when someone just like is bullying you, you get sick and tired of it. That's Valdez right now. Yeah, the Braves have been bullying all his pitches, putting him in Minute Maid Park. So
Oh
he's
man.
tired. He's gonna go out there and show him a little bit of that curveball spin action right there. And like I said earlier, the Braves are a home run hitting team. Like their power, their offense is there. So my hot take is that Astros hitters hit more home runs than the Braves. Like I feel like we match up pound for pound. We're gonna be out hitting them this series.
I think so too. I think they could hit a little bit more home runs. I mean, you got Tucker, you got Alvarez. I'm waiting for Abreu. We haven't seen an
Little
Abreu home run from the Astros until spring training. His last home run, I think we had. I think we looked that up. I think it was in August, the last time he had hit a home run.
Oh, shout out Brian McTaggart. That's where we got it. That's where I showed it from.
Shout out to him. But yeah, I could see that happening. Maybe a Yainier Diaz home run. I think he hasn't hit a home
Maybe,
run
maybe.
in his career yet, so I like to see that. But not bad picks. Mine, since we're talking about power, I'm going with offensive MVP Kyle Tucker.
I
I
like.
mean, like I said, Kyle versus Kyle Wright versus Tucker. Tucker has success. He had a home run. Let's make another one right there. But I think he'll adjust to these guys as Bryce Elder is a second year guy, rookie as well. I think he has to introduce himself some way, somehow. He hasn't faced a big, tough team like the Astros, the defending world champions. So I think Tucker could take advantage of that. It'll be interesting in that Max Fried, which Tucker and Fried have done. I mean, they're lefty and lefty. I think it'll be a good matchup. And Tucker has had success too against the lefties in the past. So give me that as my offensive MVP. Pitching MVP, come on, continue. Just continue it going. Hunter Brown, he's going to be 3-0 with Yainer Diaz, hopefully, at the end of that game Friday night. I think too. I mean, Yainer Diaz has a 194 with the pitchers, 194 ERA. I think he does line up good with Hunter Brown. They, like you said, they've known each other since Sugarland, even from Corpus Christi as well. Continue going. This Braves lineup hasn't seen him either. It's like Spencer Strider. I wish the Astros did face Strider last year. I think this is going to
Yeah.
happen this year with with Hunter Brown facing this Braves lineup. So we could see a little bit of that. And then my hot take. You just said it. He's the hottest hitter in the Braves lineup. Give it to me. These pitchers. You're talking about starters and you're talking about relievers. And you can even throw Ryan Presley as our closer. They're going to get Acuna Jr. to bat under 315
And
this series.
315.
315. 315. It is a hot. My hot takes are go big or go home. I'll tell you that right now because George Springer not hitting a home run was shocking. And then even more shocking was Jordan Alvarez not hitting a home run to the Allegheny River in Pittsburgh. That sucked. I wish that would have happened. But other than that, the pitchers, I mean, the bullpen hasn't been doing that bad. Montero was shaky, but other than that, I mean, Eris has been looking better. Brian Abreu, of course, we saw
Maton.
how, yeah, Phil Maton as well. We haven't seen Seth Martinez, shockingly. Ronel Blanco, we know how he does, and Ryan Presley as well. So I think the Stars are just going to give it to him. Don't be surprised, though, if he's on that, if he's on the base, he will be stealing. I'm telling you that right now.
I agree. I see it coming. But we have some good news. Michael
Yep.
Brantley, Doctor Doctor Smooth. You
I'm
know,
about to say, did you not know his name?
yeah, it was Doctor Smooth. You know, the
Oh, man.
professional hitter that we know and love is starting a rehab assignment in Sugarland on Sunday.
Yes.
So it's about. I feel like it'll be about a week till we see him in the Nationals uniform. Maybe beginning of May, last few days of April. So he's coming soon. And then with Myers blowing up the series, that conversation between Dusty Baker and Dana Brown's gonna be a little bit more tough of who's getting recalled down.
Well, it'll
But
be Riley and Badman
oh,
right
there
now
you go, there you go.
until Chas McCormick comes back. Then there'll be the
Okay,
discussion.
yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that McCormick was. I don't know why I just slipped out of my head, but yeah, okay, it's an easy decision now, but it will soon be hard.
But yeah, another thing too with Chaz. I mean, Chaz McCormick being on the IL, and that was even because of his eye. I mean, in the beginning, if you remember, we had said it was his eye that was bothering him. His vision wasn't looking the same when he was practicing the other day. I don't know if it was
I
what
think
I
it was
don't
in
know
like a
which day.
workout.
Yeah, on the field, he had back tightness or something like that, and now he's headed to the IL. So it's unfortunate for Chazzy Fist to land on the IL when we would have got to seen him in that leadoff spot. So
Yeah, but
hopefully he goes back and gets everything going.
yeah, but Dana Brown anticipates a short stint in the
Yeah, I don't
injured
think it's
list.
something
Yeah,
serious. Yeah, I think it's just precaution as well.
for sure. But moving on to around the league, we have some more sticky situation. It was in Los Angeles, but like you said, from another New York team. I don't know, so, something strange going on in New York with all these sticky situations. But
Pizza wrap.
Max Max Scherzer gets ejected for having a foreign substance in his hand. Now, it was foreign substance according to the umpires, but Scherzer said it was rosin and sweat, and the Mets even went on to say that it was rosin that the MLB baseball provided. But Scherzer was so adamant that it was just rosin that he even swore on his kid's life that, yeah,
That's
literally,
crazy
that's
to
what he
do
told
that.
the umpires. That he
I
swore on
couldn't
his
believe that.
kid's life that it was rosin and sweat. So I hope. I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He did receive a 10-game suspension that he does plan to appeal. And just something interesting. This is a third player ejected from the game under Phil Cuzzy that when he does the inspection. Now, I think it happened twice last year. and
Hmm.
now once this year. Now, what do you agree with? Like, do you think because now this is the second time it's happened, and Scherzer, I did see his post game interview, and he said that they told him to wash it off. He washed it off with water, then he washed it off again with alcohol, and he said that with the alcohol and the rosin, it created like this,
Sticky.
that stickiness that
Hmm.
was going on, and the reason why it was theirs. But I mean, whose side are you on? Are you on Phil Cuzzy's side? Yeah, he deserved to be out, or do you agree with Scherzer with sweat and rosin?
I think people are gonna hate me and say this, but I'm going with Scherzer. I really think he was
I
being
agree with
honest.
you. Yeah.
If he, I mean, he even said in the interview too that there was an MLB official with him when he was washing his hands, putting alcohol in his hands, and just doing everything. Now, remember too, when you have alcohol, like for instance, we'll throw an example: hand sanitizer. As soon as you eat something sticky, the alcohol is not going to go away. I mean, the stickiness is not going to go away when you put all the alcohol or hand sanitizer on it. You still have a little stickiness on it. Apparently, to the umpires, they said it was like real, like sap sticky. But what I was shocked about too was seeing Buck Showalter not go out there and argue with the umps. I mean,
Yeah.
it was shocking to me because as a player, you would want your manager on your side, and the manager, Buck had went to Scherzer and talked to him to the side as soon as they threw him out, and he even grabbed his glove too, and he had him and Scherzer were just having that one-on-one conversation. So, I mean, I agree with Scherzer though. I mean, if there was somebody right there looking at you, and MLB is having people go, in the dugout and watching these players eye for eye ever since this cheating scandal had happened with the Astros. They are looking at you 24/7. They're not going to just not look at you. Or I don't think Scherzer was going to tell them, "Hey, here, I'll give you $1,000 if you don't say nothing." I don't think he's going to do that.
I mean,
So,
maybe,
no, I doubt it. But the rosin too. I mean, it's difficult because you saw that last week with Domingo Herman with the Yankees, and he wasn't suspended. He
I'm
wasn't
surprised he didn't get
checked.
ejected. I mean,
And
it's
that's the
twice.
thing. That's
Like,
what Rocco Baldelli was pissed about. And that's when I was telling, when we talked about the last time, I was on Rocco's side because what the hell? You're basically giving him you gave him a warning, you gave him another warning, and you're basically letting him stay the whole freaking game.
and then I feel like those are two different pitchers. Like, you have this Max Scherzer who is,
Three times
ho-
Cy Young.
yeah, Hall of Fame pitcher, and then you have like, I mean, I'm not trying to discredit Domingo Herman, but he looked like a completely different pitcher, like career high in
Hmm.
strikeouts. That revolution, like, that ball was spinning a lot more. So I feel like
Hmm.
that had a bigger effect. And the Yankees aren't the, what I don't want to say, like, they don't have a good reputation either. So
Hmm.
you know
Nah,
I don't
I
know.
got to go on Scherzer on that
I
one
agree
then
with you though.
because it sucks. You have officials looking at you. At the end of the day, you're still getting thrown out. You're following their directions. He even told them, okay. He even walked down to get another freaking glove. That's the other thing too. He went down to the clubhouse, got another glove when they told him to get another one, and he said it was still sticky. I mean, this it's just this role right now is just kind of
Yeah.
it's really hurting
And
baseball.
then I feel like the umpires need to be a little bit more consistent. Like, if you're telling them to wash it off, hey, that's cool, like giving the benefit of the doubt. But if it continues happening, like, or if it's still there, then you have the right to eject them. Like, you should eject them. Like, for example, like he was saying, Domingo Herman didn't get ejected. But if he has it more than once, you tell him to wash it off, like, he's gone. Now, like, unless they prove to you, okay, it was rosin, because like a lot of players trying to use sunscreen. I remember last year, like
Hmm.
sunscreen to get that little, I feel like, giving like a little extra grip. So I think we're seeing a lot less of that. So now it's just like supposedly when they wash it off with alcohol. But I mean, we'll, we'll see how that. Like, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, another thing too. I mean, of course, Garrett Cole was one of the guys that used spider tack. I mean, would you let the guys still have these these accessories? Biofreeze and Tiger Balm was another one too as well. Would you still let these pitchers use it? Because I mean, you would lower the risk of hurting players as well from pitchers and batter standpoints, or would you just continue to let the rule happen with this happening?
I mean, I don't think that MLB will be uh that picky. Like, because for example, like when a boxer is putting the little wraps in his like hands, there's a
Yeah, the boxing
referee
reps.
there. Yeah, there's a referee there seeing eyeing the whole process. So I I hope it doesn't get to a situation where MLB, like as the pitcher's doing his routine, like someone's like basically babysitting them 24/7 wherever they go. There's an MLB
It
guy
might
there, like
happen. It might
because
happen now, dude, because I mean, it's twice now that twice in 1 week or twice in 2 weeks now this has happened.
yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, it'll
And
be
then plus, I think they need to start looking at they might start looking at the pitchers coming out of the dugout before
oh
the
wow,
inning. It might be looking like that because that's how Scherzer got caught that when he before he got ejected.
oh wow. I mean, again, it'll be interesting to see. We'll see how it plays out. But moving on to our next part of around the league, A's, the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. So the Oakland A's might become the Las Vegas Athletics. The A's have agreed to buy land in Las Vegas. They intend to build a $1.5 billion stadium that seats 335,000 people. Like, what do you think about this move? Like,
Mm. I feel for Oakland.
oh
I
yeah,
feel for the
they
I feel
they
for
have
the
a long
fans. I
history
feel
there.
for the city, dude. I feel bad for them.
Yeah,
I mean, they lost the Warriors. I mean, in the span of 5 years, they lost the Warriors, they lost the Oakland Raiders, and they're about to lose the Oakland Athletics. There's not going to be no sports over there on Oakland until, I mean, for the foreseeable future now. It
yeah.
sucks, but I think it's a good move for Las Vegas. I mean, Las Vegas, like I said, has been on the rise of
It's a new sports town.
getting sports. Yeah, yeah, it's getting sports teams. Of course, you got sports gambling being popular. Casinos are out there, of course, as well. Like I mentioned before, you got the Las Vegas Raiders, you got the Las Vegas Aces, the Golden Knights of the hockey team. Now you're fixing to get a baseball team. So the city of Las Vegas is expanding on sports, and I think it's a good move.
Yeah, but don't tell Zoe about sports betting because you know how to act. But
If you want that
yeah,
money,
but I agree with you. I feel bad for the Oakland fans, and when they heard about the move, I was looking through Twitter, and like there's some unhappy Oakland fans. Like they have a long history
oh
there,
yeah,
55 years. You know, we have Ricky Henderson, but I feel like it's just like part of the ownership, like that they're trading all their guys. Like they don't want to pay players. Like even in the Moneyball, like they let Giambi walk. They let um I forgot who was the other one that walked, but they've let Chapman walk recently. They traded Matt Olson and Sean Murphy basically for nothing for a bag of peanuts.
think about it
Yeah,
though. They had Marcus Simeon, they had Matt Chapman, they had Matt Olson, they had Sean Murphy, they had who's another? They had Starling Martet that they acquired at the deadline. They had pitchers Chris Bassett. They had Sonny Gray. They've had a lot of good players, dude. It's just like
they
you're
don't want to
saying,
pay.
management. They just don't want to pay, and it's been like that. If you looked at the Reggie Jackson documentary, they did not want to pay Reggie Jackson the money that Reggie Jackson wanted. He just wanted an extension. The GM was just too cheap to, pay him. Next thing you know, he's in New York. Oh, he got traded to Baltimore, and then after Baltimore, he went to New York. So it's been a history from back down in the '70s, which they did win 3 championships over there with Reggie Jackson and Dennis Eckersley and Vita Blue. And till now, I mean,
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate, man. It
it's
sucks.
yeah. I mean, I wish it was different for the Oakland fans. Like, I wish the Athletics and even for the AOS. Like, I mean, it's fun seeing some competition. Like, I feel like they're only good for 1, 2, 2, 3 years once they develop their product, and after that they sell them. Like, it's not
Yeah.
a good strategy to win. But speaking of trades, did you see that Shohei Otani? If the Angels are out of contention, they might trade him, which makes sense to me. I mean, why lose them for like if you can't
Uh-huh.
pay them? Why lose them for nothing, right? When you have a chance
Yeah.
to, like, especially if the Angels are the Angels that we know and love, they're going to be fall out of contention pretty here pretty soon.
Hmm.
Um, that's not a bad plan for them to trade Shohei Otani to for a rental and get a load of prospects or even
I think
uh,
they need to.
players with like still with alteration cases and like with basically like a player with that's going to be there for a while, right? And I don't know. I mean, hopefully, again, it'll be good for baseball if Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are in the playoffs. Hopefully, as a wild card, because Astros are winning that division.
Hmm.
But I can see it happening. And then
That's what I was looking at right now, real quick. Like, because I saw something John Heyman had said. LA remains firm on not trading away Shohei this season, even if they fall out of playoff contention. That's just holding a guy hostage, really, at this
yeah,
point. But if you're the A's, I would go full rebuild right now. You got Logan Ohopi. Who else? You got Zach Neto that just got up with the top prospects.
speaking about Logan Ohopi, real quick. Sorry to interrupt. There was a Manny Machado ball hit in Yankee Stadium, and it was a s- it, there was this person that threw it from the stands almost all the way to second base. That guy was Logan Ohopi.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Nah, I saw that. But I mean, real quick, I mean, then two top prospects. If Shohei walks, if you're Mike Trout, you want to trade right away.
yeah.
And I would deal him. I mean, you got to rebuild for the future. Right now, if Shohei's gone for them, you only have Trout and Rendon. Them are two. I mean, Trout's not getting any younger. Rendon's always getting hurt too. Even each season, he hasn't stayed healthy. So I think they got to do that.
Yeah. Or give pitching, like, something is gonna
Something
have
has
to
to
give.
give.
Yeah.
Something has to give.
Speaking of pitching, Matt Bum designated for assignment after the Contreras exchange. Like, that was honestly, that was kind of kind of shocking. Like,
Yeah,
but I think it'll be good for contenders. Like, I feel like Matt Bum, even though he's been not the Mad Bum from the Giants, but he's been Nice Bum or something because he's giving all these
nice
hitters
bump.
because he's getting all these
Nice
hitters
bump.
pitches right down the middle that they be smacking everywhere. But I think he still has pitches left in the tank. I feel like
Mhm.
we need to keep an eye on the Yankees and Rays, especially since Jeffrey Springs was hurt. Yankees have all these pitching injuries, and even the Astros. I don't know. Maybe Madison Bumgarner can be that lefty in the bullpen. Like, I feel.
Just hold him till the World Series
Oh
if the
yeah,
Astros go get him. Because
yeah.
have you seen his ERA in the World Series,
It's
dude?
crazy. That
0.25.
ice we're talking about right there.
That's not even ice. That's ice on the whole freaking body, dude. Because I mean, who has a 0.25 in the freaking World Series? That is so hard to do. And
Yeah.
Matt Bumgarner, I mean, why not give him a shot in Houston? But at the same time, too, I don't know.
I
I
don't.
think it'd be risky.
I don't think he'll become a starter for us. But it'll be nice to have something like a long man, long reliever, him like with that experience in the
Hmm.
bullpen. Like, especially since again we were talking about before the season started that we need a lefty in the bullpen, or at least for that matchup. I mean, he's a lefty, he's a
Yeah.
veteran, experience. I mean, and like you mentioned earlier, we haven't seen a lot of Seth Martinez. So if we're only gonna bring him out during blowouts games or like to eat up innings, like why not have someone there that's going to be that guy when the game's tight, or like a Brady did last time. We need that those 3 outs when we're about so close to like t- losing the game. I feel like that'd be a great addition.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. It'd be risky though for the Astros to do that.
What are
Maybe
your
the
thoughts? I'm
Yankees.
sorry.
I mean, the Yankees right now they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They're not even too sure if Carlos Rodon's going to continue because he's having a setback. I think I don't. I've read something that he has a setback right now. Luis Severino, of course, is still hurt. Who's the other guy too? That from the Oakland, Frankie Montas. That's another Oakland A. He's hurt. I mean, yeah, it could be a possibility of the Yankees. It could. I don't think the Rays, like I was saying, because they got a lot of young top prospects. They
Taj
got a
Bradley, he's been pretty good.
Shane Bass is another one too. I mean, Tyler Glasnow is going to be coming soon. I'm not. I don't think the Rays would take a gamble on him. The Astros, like I said, it'd be risky for them. If Luis Garcia and Jose Urquidy pitch at this, if Jose Urquidy pitches like how he pitched that last game, and if Luis Garcia pitches like the first three games he had done, maybe. But I mean, I think it's a risk for the Astros to do
But
something like
I
that.
don't think it's risky though because that those $1 million that he owes, that's being eaten up by the Diamondbacks. Like,
Diamondbacks, yeah.
yeah, he's allowed to sign for a veteran minimum of $750,000. Like,
It'd be up to
I feel
him
it's a
though
high
too.
risk, low reward. Like,
It could be.
I'm
It could
sorry.
be.
Low risk, high reward. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, but I mean, I don't know, man. His ERA hasn't looked the same ever since leaving San Francisco.
Yeah, but with the Astros, I don't know what they do to pitchers out there, but you know,
Shout out to
there's a
Brent
chance.
Strom too.
Yeah, but surprising team so far. I have a few. I don't even want to name some first. What do you got?
Pirates, them,
Yeah.
them, them. Raise the Jolly Roger out there. Ever since Andrew McCutcheon back, I mean, they look like a different
Oh
team. They're
yeah.
13-7 right now. I think that's a very shocker for me right
And
now.
and we even talked about that, how that Kutch move was like a veteran move, like because they have a bunch of young guys, but having that
Mhm.
veteran presence
It means a
becomes
lot.
huge. Yeah,
Yeah, it means a lot.
and we're seeing that now. But to me, I would say the Diamondbacks.
Dimebacks.
Like I had the Diamondbacks manager as the manager of the year,
Hmm.
and right now he's an early candidate because the Diamondbacks were projected to be the bottom of that division. They're in the rebuilding stage, but they're rebuilding fast. Like right now, they're the only team in the AL West above 500. They're in first place. They're 11-8, and they look good. Corbin Carroll is looking good. Josh Rojas, I believe the Astros traded him for
Yeah,
Zane
Zach
Greinke.
Gurkey.
He's looking good. Like they're showing out. They're balling out.
Just the two guys on your fantasy team.
Well, those are the ones I remember at the top of my head, but they have
That's
more.
why from your fantasy team, you're
Okay, but
forgetting Lourdes Gurriel
there you
Jr.
go.
You're
R-
forgetting who's
Help me
another
out here.
one?
Help me out here.
Jay McCarthy, Alec Thomas. God dog, dude. You're just naming guys off your fantasy team. Come
You
on
know,
now. Zach
I
Gallen got
blanked.
better too.
I blanked, and then
Oh
I
my
was like, man,
gosh.
what are the players I wasn't talking about? But
He said Josh Rojas and Corbin Carroll and yeah, that's all I got.
so I blanked. There you go. But thank you for helping me out. And I would
I
say
got you. I
The
got you.
Orioles too. The Orioles are looking pretty good.
Ever since that celebration, I think they look like a different team.
Yeah,
They have woken up.
definitely.
But that is our show. It was a long show today. Continue to subscribe on YouTube on our new channel, TikTok as well. We have TikTok at Full Steam Ahead over there. Twitter at Full Steam Ahead. You can't miss us on Twitter or TikTok. It's just full with the name right there. And subscribe to our podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google. Thanks to everybody who had participated in the ticket raffle and had given us some ratings, given us some comments, reviews. We really, really, really appreciate it. Like I said, we're just trying to build our brand over here. And hopefully we'll get something with some Instagram going. Hopefully you like the George Springer interview we did there. We did another one which says our Salazar, the like Angel said, the third backup catcher to the Astros right now. But Angel, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, like you said, this was a long episode. So for those that stuck it out, thank you. Like, thank you for hearing us out. Hear what we got to say. We appreciate you. Appreciate the feedback. Um, and then don't be afraid to give us some like feedback on Twitter. Like Zoe asked some pros. Like, what are you looking at for pros and cons? What would you like to see? Like, we love to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about y'all guys. But like I said, it's Friday. Go crazy this weekend. Atlanta Braves is going to be a good series for the Astros 2021 World Series rematch, possibly 2023. We never know. But other than that, we will talk to y'all at the conclusion of this series. Stay safe out there and go Stros.
Go Astros.